Kaiju Universe is finally back in Roblox, but it's a bit different.
What the hell?
To the surprise of no one, they were not able to acquire a license for Toho Kaiju, although they are still trying. This means there will be no Godzilla, no Kong, and no Kaiju you see in the movies. Instead, they replaced them with these original Kaiju, like the Malasive. But it looks like these new Kaiju are just reskins of the old ones, like this Karimach is basically male Muto from before. Not having Godzilla Kaiju seems to be everyone's biggest complaint about the game, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Are you playing Kaiju Universe for the game or for the models? If you need to have a model that looks exactly like Godzilla in order to play the game, then you never really liked the game to begin with. The game still functions basically the same as it did before, with many improvements. Let's take a look at some of these. First off, the PvP system feels a lot smoother. I feel like the attacks land a bit quicker and the movement is a bit better, especially the turning. And they also added a bunch of cosmetic improvements like the new UI, new battle effects, and a bunch of nice to haves like this diving effect and the combo counter here. Missions are also now a thing where you can earn some nice rewards, as well as a preset save slot for skill point builds, and now there is even a built-in guide on how to use certain Kaiju. There's also supposedly NPC military events where tanks and jets will come out and attack your Kaiju. The big one is game modes, which is something that didn't even exist in old Kaiju Universe. This includes the normal mode, clan mode, and open beta, which is just Kaiju Universe with a new map. The new map has completely new buildings with a new destruction effect, which I'm glad they finally added, and it has some new locations like Hong Kong or Pirate Island. Clan mode is pretty much just the same as normal mode as of now, but I assume it's for people who want to do giant wars with other clans. Now, I know on paper it seems like Kaiju Universe actually added a lot in this revamp update. There's a whole list of things they added, but fundamentally, Kaiju Universe is pretty much the same game as it always has been. The PvP is basically the same, the map is pretty similar, and the core mechanics are all still the same. Most of the visually noticeable features are just UI updates or cool new effects, but in actual gameplay, it feels like it's the same game. To me, that's not such a good thing. I expected a complete revamp on everything, from movement to the PvP system. Similar to how Kaiju Arisen 5.0 PvP works completely different from the 4.0 version. But to most, this isn't an issue. Many people were content with how PvP worked already in Kaiju Universe and didn't really want any new changes. The thing that most people have a problem with boils down to three things: Kaiju, bugs, and balance. Bugs is a fair complaint. The game is a bit glitchy at times, perhaps even more so than it was before, but the dev team is working on fixing it in real time, and in fact there have been a few updates already after the revamp addressing the bugs. This will only get better over time, so I feel like this isn't a real issue. Balancing is also not a real issue, it's more of a temporary problem. There are only 9 Kaiju in the game as of release, and 3 of them have already existed before, being the Cleric Muto, Ludon, and the Nutcracker. The rest are just reskins of existing Kaiju. And the reason why it's not so balanced right now is because there isn't exactly a good hierarchy system yet, since many players already own the old Kaiju. This will eventually be balanced out by the dev team in due time with the addition of more Kaiju. The biggest problem seems to be the Kaiju themselves. Not having any Monsterverse or Toho Kaiju turn away many players who play the game specifically for those Kaiju. Without it, the game doesn't feel the same. But the only way to fix this problem is if Kaiju Universe managed to acquire a license for having official Kaiju in the game, which at that point, they can bring back almost all of the old Kaiju. They are still working on getting that license, but me personally, I don't think that's ever going to happen. The lack in numbers of Kaiju will also be solved eventually, since they are planning on adding a new Kaiju each week. Same with the complaints about the Kaiju being too insectoid focused, as when new Kaiju are released, there will be more variety. Now the question remains, should you still play Kaiju Universe? And my answer to that is, it depends. If you're playing the game solely for the cool factor of being able to play as Godzilla, and you're banking on Kaiju Universe being able to get that license, then probably not. Well, what if you have years of progress on the game that you just don't want to lose? I feel like that doesn't matter, since even if you get all your old progress back, you wouldn't be enjoying the game as much as before, so it might not be worth it. Alright, now let's say you play Kaiju Universe for the actual gameplay aspect of it, and you can still enjoy the game even without any Godzilla models. Well, if that's the case, then by all means go ahead. The game will only get better from now, and the revamp has already opened its doors to many new features that had gone unchanged for years. For me, I'm not quite sure yet. Part of the reason why I played Kaiju Universe to begin with was because of all the Godzilla monsters in the game. I was never a big fan of the actual gameplay behind Kaiju Universe, so I guess the only way to tell is wait and see what kind of updates they'll add in the future. Perhaps with the combination of all the revamp features and the new Kaiju, it'll be enough for me. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and comments down below about the Kaiju Universe revamp update. Love it? Hate it? Will Kaiju Universe get their license? Comment below. And as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.